এখানে তো কোনো ইয়ে চাইলো না, সরাসরি ঢুকে গেল যে। সরাসরি চলে গেল তো, সরাসরি ঢুকে গেল তো, কোনো ইউজার নেম পাসওয়ার্ড চাইলো না স্যার। শুরুই করা হয়নি। স্যার আপনি কি ওখানে আপনার নাম দিয়ে লগ ইন করবেন? তাহলে আমি এখানে নাম চেঞ্জ করে দেবো স্যার। না স্যার। এবার আসবে। এটা আপনি ইয়ার
ঠিক আছে। আমাকে শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? এখানে এটার মাইক কিন্তু খুব ভালো মাইক।
ইয়াতে দেওয়া আছে স্যার।
আপনারা শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? এটার মাইক পাওয়ারফুল। কাছে নিয়ে কথা বললে মাইক আমার কথা কি ওখানে যাচ্ছে?
এখানে আসলে তো স্যার সাউন্ড বক্সে চলে যাচ্ছে। আপনার সাউন্ড আসলে তো স্যার সাউন্ড বক্সে চলে যাচ্ছে।
আনমিউট করা আছে।
Good morning, Professor Rahman.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you? It's nice to meet you finally.
Fine, thank you. Can you hear?
Sorry, sir?
You can hear me, I think.
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Now, thank you for making the time to join. We'll just wait for a couple of
Very
minutes.
much for also. Thanks to you for arranging this meeting.
No, not at all. It's been pending for quite some time now, you know. So
I hope some of my colleagues join.
yes, of course. Of course, they're welcome to join.
I am expecting Dr. Abdullah Shams bin Tariq, Professor of Physics.
Okay.
Professor Partho Biplab Roy, Professor of Information Science and Library Management Department. Mr. Saud Mishfaq Ali, he will not be online, I guess.
All right.
But
No,
he
sure.
will
I
be
mean,
present.
it's good to have the team, and you know, we will have a round of introductions too.
And
So.
I will be assisted by Mr. Rafiqur Rahman.
Okay, fine.
Assistant librarian.
All right. And I'd also like to welcome, you know, our colleagues from Sri Lanka. Mr. Balasurya, are you here? Can you hear us? Mr. Harsha Balasurya?
One meeting has finished at just now. He will log in now.
He will log in now. Okay, fine.
Okay.
Well, welcome to this meeting with the NDLI. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Sir, I think you might need to increase your volume a little bit. You know, it's a little soft at your end.
How about now? Is it okay?
Yeah, it's much better.
Can you hear
Yes.
me? Okay, okay, right.
I can hear you.
Okay.
If you could increase it a little more, that would be even better, but we can hear you.
Sure.
So, you know, we're just waiting for some of our other colleagues also to join, and then we can start at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, sure. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Professor Das.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, very clear.
Yeah, good.
In fact, we have colleagues from Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and the British Council.
Welcome,
just
welcome.
Waiting for one more sort of colleague to join us, and then we can begin.
Sure.
Good morning to you, Praveena and Shubhadeep. Good to see you here.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Very good morning.
अच्छा।
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, and good morning, Mr. Tiku. It's nice to see you've joined.
हेलो हाँ আমার তো সব ঠিকঠাক না তারপরে তো বলেছি যে আমার তো নেগেটিভ হয়ে গেছে
Good morning, Rajiv. Can you hear us?
আর সব ঠিক নেই না
Rajiv, I think you may need to switch your mic on. We can't hear you at this end. Okay. All right. I think we're all here, so we could actually begin. All right. Well, once again, a very good morning to your colleagues, and a warm welcome to this introductory meeting with the National Digital Library of India. We have with us today representatives from the Rajshahi University in Bangladesh, which is a major public university in the country. From India, we have colleagues from the British Council, whom, of course, we're all familiar with, and OneWorld Foundation, which, among other things, hosts an extraordinary national repository of community radio programs from across the country. And from Sri Lanka, we have the Open University of Sri Lanka, which is quite unique in that it is the country's sole open university, right? So, well, it's a pleasure to have you, and thank you once again for making the time to meet despite all these COVID disruptions and your other commitments. To put today's meeting in context, since late 2020, the NDLI, as part of its outreach program in South Asia, has been entering into dialogues and partnerships with leading universities, libraries, and other kinds of specialized institutes across the region. The objective, of course, has been to start collaborations in the area of digital library development and use. And the response has actually been very, very encouraging. You will be pleased to know that in the course of the last few months, we've been able to initiate partnerships in Bangladesh, Bhutan, Maldives, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. And of course, in India itself, we've had a very strong partnership and engagement program ever since the NDLI itself was launched way back in 2015. So all of this has given us a strong foundation on which we'd like to continue to build further. And the way we can do that is by partnering with more and more organizations like yours going forward. That in a nutshell is the background to today's meeting. All of you have probably had a chance to look at the agenda that we had sent you. And as you will have seen, today's program is divided into 3 main segments. We'd like to begin with an overview of the NDLI, so that gives you an idea what our platform is and how it works. But then we would like to hear from you, your thoughts and perspectives about areas in which you think you could collaborate with us and how we could work together. And finally, we will conclude with a group question and answer session where we can take all your queries and collectively decide on how to take things forward, right? So before we enter into the substantive part of the meeting, it would be nice to have a very quick round of collaborations so that we all get to know each other a little better. Just a few lines about yourself and the institution that you represent. So if we could begin with my colleagues from Bangladesh, Professor Habibur Rahman, You and your colleagues, would you like to lead us in this? You will need to unmute your mic, sir.
Thank you all. Good morning. Now, I will request Mr. Rafiqur Rahman to give a short introduction of the Central Library of Rajshahi University. Yes. So this is. So I think I should. So we should start right away. Okay.
Actually, Professor Raman, at this point, we would just like you to introduce yourself. You know, the introduction to the institution and the library, that will come a little later in the program.
Okay.
All right.
So
just a few lines about yourself.
This is Professor Habibur Rahman. Actually, I am a professor of chemistry here, acting as the administrator of the Central Library of Rajshahi University. That's all.
Okay. And other colleagues from Rajshahi University, would you like to say a few words?
Hello, this is Mohammad Rafiqur Rahman. I'm assistant librarian and I'm working on the digital and edit sources section of this library.
Okay.
I'm Abdullah Shams bin Tariq. I'm also a professor of physics, but I work a lot in the library, not only in Rajshahi University, but on countrywide. And I have been very much attached to the formation of the Library Consortium of Bangladesh, which has like around 40 institutions, and through which we subscribe to many of our resources. So basically, we have two major consortia in Bangladesh. One is the UGC Digital Library, and one is the Library Consortium of Bangladesh. So I also work for that, and I assist with the Rajshahi University Library as and when necessary.
All right. Thank you, Professor Tariq. We will then move on to India and the British Council. So we have Miss Pravina Ireland with us. Pravina, would you like to say a few words, please?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Pravina Ireland. I head the library in the British Council Library in Kolkata. And we currently just have 3 libraries in Delhi, Chennai, and Kolkata. So I head the one in Kolkata. We don't consider ourselves just a library. We are a library and a cultural center. So that's me, and that's my colleague Shubhadeep, who would like to introduce himself as well.
All right. Thank you, Pravina. And Shubhadeep?
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Shubhadeep Sengupta. I am the manager of Library and Information Services in Kolkata, East India. I have been associated with British Council for almost 7 years. And in terms of alma mater, I'm a graduate from Calcutta University, and I did my master's in library science.
Okay, thank you so much. And now Mr. Rajiv Tikku from OneWorld. You know, your mic is still muted.
Yeah, very good morning. I'm Rajiv Tikku from OneWorld Foundation India. We're a communication for development NGO, and one of the initiatives which we manage is on community radio, and we manage a repository of community radio programs in India, which is around 15,000 radio programs spread around 60 languages.
Okay, thank you so much. We will be talking a little more about that later in the program. And now my colleagues from Sri Lanka, Mr. Harsha Balasurya, if you can take the lead here. Yes, Mr. Balasurya, your mic is also on mute.
Good morning, all of you. I am Harsha Balasurya from the Open University of Sri Lanka. At the moment, I am working as acting librarian of the library service. Today, my 3 colleagues also collaborate, join with us for sharing our ideas. So maybe we can introduce our institute and all those things in the particular session time. Right. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. And the other colleagues from Open University of Sri Lanka, if you could say a few words quickly.
I am KD Vikramaratne from Open University of Sri Lanka. I am Senior Assistant Registrar of the library.
All right, thank you.
Hello, I am Irosha Maharasinghe, working as an assistant librarian attached to the Open University of Sri Lanka.
And Ms. Tushara?
Yeah, I'm Tushara Besekara. I'm a senior assistant librarian at the Open University of Sri Lanka. And I am in charge of reader service, quality control matters, and also the coordinator of the BA in Library and Information Science degree.
Okay, thank you so much. And now I'd like to briefly have a round of introductions from my colleagues at the NDLI. So Professor Parthopratim Das, we'll begin with you.
Good morning, everyone. Really nice to be in this meeting. Welcome you all to the initiative of National Digital Library of India. We'll talk more about that. I'm Parthopratim Das. I'm a professor of computer science with Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, who are interested to develop the National Digital Library of India. In this digital library, I'm the joint principal investigator. I report to the principal investigator, Professor Parthopratim Chakravarti, my colleague in computer science. And welcome you all again and very good morning for the meeting.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Nandagopal?
Yes,
Yes,
good morning.
Here. Yes,
good morning, everybody. My name is Nandagopal Chattopadhyay. I am the Chief Technical Officer of National Digital Library of India project. So broadly, I take care of most of the activities of the project. I coordinate most of the activities of the project. And for the project, I report to all the PI, Principal Investigator of the project, Joint Principal Investigator of the project, and there are a few co-principal investigator also. So they give the broad guideline. Based on that, through a big team, we get the project executed. Thanks, everyone.
thank you, sir. And finally, Ananda, also from the NDLI.
Good morning, everyone. This is Ananya Gruha. Actually, I'm taking care of the user support part, basically. Yes, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Ananda. And I am, my name is Anirban Sarma, and I happen to be the, I look after international outreach and partnerships, which is basically communications and partnerships with institutes outside India. That's what I've been doing at the NDLI for a while now. We can now begin the meeting proper.
One of my colleagues has just joined. Mr.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right. Is he here? Is your colleague here?
Yes. Introduce Karan.
Okay, then, Mr. Roy, if we can have a quick introduction from you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I am Partho Biplab Rai. I am a professor in the Department of Information Science and Library Management at Rajshahi University, Bangladesh. First of all, I appreciate all of you to conduct such type of meeting initiatives. It's a very good job, I think. Good morning, everybody, again.
Okay, thank you, Professor Roy.
Dr. Anirban, I think one of our members is also there, Mrs. Ramani Amarasekara.
All right, I'm sorry, I'm missing out the new joinees. Yes, Ms. Ramani. A few quick words from you.
Yeah. Actually, I'm Ramani Amarasekara. I'm actually working at the Open University as a deputy librarian. I've been working there for 33 years, and actually, mainly I have been in charge of the acquisitions department of the Open University Library.
All right, thank you. Now I think now that we have a sense of who is attending the meeting, we could actually begin with the meeting itself. And for this, I'd like to request my colleague, Professor Partho Das, to make a presentation which gives us an overview of the NDLI. So Professor Das, over to you.
Thank you, Anirban. Let me share a presentation and start the discussion. Is the presentation visible?
Yes, so we can see it.
Okay, great. So again, welcome you all to the introduction to National Digital Library of India, which is a kind of a flagship project of Ministry of Education, and comes under its NMEICT program, as it is called, National Mission on Education through Information and Communication Technology. And this was started in 2015, April, and IIT Kharagpur was given the responsibility to execute and develop this project, and since then we have been busy with this. So basically, just to give a quick background, if we see at the need of a nation today, every nation needs quality lifelong education and knowledge for anyone, anytime and anywhere, right? Naturally, with the COVID pandemic, the digital form of this need has become even higher, but this has been a need even for the decades. So the only way we can have a quality scalable solution for this is to use digital technology. So an integrated, open and inclusive digital library can be the enabler of such a digital ecosystem for education. And it's just not the education with enrollment of institutions, but education before that and beyond that in every possible way. And we will talk more about the openness and inclusiveness. That is very important because the knowledge and technologies have to be open in today's time. And such an initiative has to be inclusive for everyone, every citizen in the country, every citizen of the world. So a national digital library is an all-encompassing knowledge repository that can be the knowledge and cultural asset for the nation. So that's kind of the background in which we got started, and the core objectives of a digital library. Naturally, NDLI does not deviate from that. It's a 24/7 enabled infrastructure which hosts digital learning objects, has a single window search and various forms of access facilities. And in terms of inclusivity, it should include all academic levels, all disciplines. All academic levels means it's from absolutely primary to K-12 to college to university, research, lifelong learning, all kinds of academic levels. All disciplines, whether it's engineering, science, arts, social sciences, music, drama, every kind, and all languages. And as you can understand, for a country like India, language is a deep consequence because we have a large number of 22 languages in our constitution, where in these 22 languages education is provided. So this inclusiveness is a big objective of a digital library, and it should cover all domains of industry and economy, as well as cultural objects, another dimension of the inclusivity. So the way it can work is it can harvest or fetch data from digital repositories, resources across the country, and provide an integrated view, integrated access. Of course, it's not feasible, practicable to actually make copies of the resources, but you make links to the resources, you make references to the resources, and basically harvest their metadata so that you can have good descriptors for the collection in the digital library. It should provide user interface in local languages to facilitate people being able to do their basic search and discovery operations, browsing operations in their preferred language. For example, people who are students who are comfortable in Bangla should be able to operate in Bangla. People who are conversant in Tamil should be able to operate in Tamil, and so on. So besides that, it must provide an immersive e-learning environment at all levels and ensure inclusive and equitable access to knowledge as much as possible. So those are the core objectives of a digital library today. And National Digital Library of India, as I said, has been based on these details, and it has nearly 5 crore, nearly 50 million open contents in 400 plus languages and 3 million plus registered users, and couple of tens of millions of regular and less regular users. So what is NDLI? I have just described what the objectives of a digital library are. NDLI goes on to meet all of those. 24/7 umbrella digital library, single window search, diverse academic levels and disciplines. There are different collections which are provided, collections specifically for different groups of learners. Then a variety of multimedia contents, just not books or texts, but along with that audio, video, image, simulation, animation, and all of that. Local language interface in 10 Indian languages: Hindi, Bangla, Tamil, Telugu, Gujarati, Malayalam, and so on. And it is for school, college, university, everybody, as you can see. And we have now about 100,000 daily accesses, footfalls in this library. The range of contents are also quite wide. On one side, we have very traditional learning contents like books, lecture slides, class notes, and so on, going on to having question banks, models, answers, solutions, and assignments, and so on, which students particularly like a lot. On the other side, a lot of research-oriented contents in terms of electronic thesis and dissertations, faculty publications, periodicals, variety of project and annual reports, encyclopedia, dictionary. And on the third, the bottom side, you have a lot of different collections which are more getting unique for the digital libraries, like data sets. Earlier, physical libraries had books, had compendiums, and so on, handbooks kind of, but the data has become very important in today's learning, research, everything. Data science is giving all of the disciplines newer techniques of exploring information. So data sets which drive data science are very important collectibles for a library. Then benchmarks, models, manuscripts, and so on and so forth. So this is there's a wide variety of range of contents, and this is just a glimpse of putting the open contents in certain buckets. As to there are about 29 million in terms of computer science, engineering, and so on, about 10 million on natural sciences, including physics, chemistry, mathematics, and so on. More than 10 million social sciences and other areas currently available in NDLI, and it's regularly expanding. So I talked about openness. So open practices, NDLI strongly believes in openness. So it's not only that we prefer to have open contents to the extent possible. Of course, you would be aware, you all are library scientists, you would know that open is not just one concept. There could be different grades of openness in that, whether it's fully open or partially, and so on. Besides that, we have contents which are nationally licensed, which are otherwise priced, but if you use it from NDLI, you will be able to see them as free. But we go beyond the openness of contents. We talk about open architecture, open sourcing of the whole infrastructure, open metadata standard, and so on and so forth. So besides that, we regularly engage in creating awareness, outreaching to different groups. This is one of those initiatives in the international forum, and make partnerships to enrich mutually through our open practices. So that's a basic principle. So naturally, the whole of this library is built on the on a certain open metadata standard that has been designed for NDLI, which is not a new standard, but it borrows from some of the different established standards like Dublin Core, partly from IEEE's LRMI, Learning Resource Metadata Initiative, partly from Shodh Ganga, ETD profile of India, and so on and so forth. I would not go into details of this. You all are far better experts of metadata than I am. So the documents are there in the project website. If you are interested, you can go through that. Naturally, the way it functions is certainly it is as in libraries and information science terms, it's called a federated structure, which means that the contents are not centrally at NDLI. They are with different repositories with whom we partner. We partner, I think, about 350, 400 organizations right now. So from their repositories, we use different open protocols to harvest the metadata and make them curate them and put them in a uniform structure in NDLI. This metadata repository is on which the user would typically do the search. And once the user identifies a particular content to be accessed, the request is directed towards the particular source from where that metadata had come. So the contents stay with the partners. They share the metadata, and based on that, the content is searched and browsed, and the request for actual sharing of the content is redirected back to the original partner provider. Now, this is how it looks. I think at this, and it's available on the NDLI is available on the desktop, on the browsers, or as mobile app on Android as well as on iOS. Right, so people can use, many particularly younger people prefer to use the mobile app, but obviously it is more convenient to use the desktop application. So before I go into the instead of flipping through different slides to just explain what's there in this library, let me just take you to the actual portal. So let me just take you there. Can you see this now?
Yes, yes, we can.
Is a portal visible? Right?
Yes, sir.
So this is if you are accessing National Digital Library of India, this is kind of the home page, the landing page where you come. And here is a login and registration, which is pretty much standard like everyone else, except that we only ask for a valid an email ID which can be validated. Naturally, on registration, a passkey is sent to that email ID, which has to be clicked, and the login gets activated. But you can do a number of things without the login also. But we suggest that you log in, because then some of the special services become available. Then there are different languages on which you can actually operate this. As you can see, list of different languages. There's a club service. Anirban possibly will talk about that later. But this is a core service that you can do a search or browse. Right. So you can search on something. Let's say I'm just doing a search here. So these are the kind of results. This is a result page. It shows quite a lot of contents, which is not really good for someone, because it shows about 12 lakh contents. If you do the similar search on Google, you'll find about 2 crore contents. But it does not give you really a focused answer, right? So that is when NDLI really gives you a different perspective. So if what you see on the left are a whole lot of refinement filters, which tell you a lot of things about these contents. For example, you can see say educational level. So the educational level tells us that depending on the level of study, the undergraduate, postgraduate, or career options, or 11, 12, or 9, 10, how many contents in this search has been found. And you can select one or more of them to put a filter. So what this refinement does is I have searched for magnetism, and from the 12 lakh, after giving 9, 10 as filter, I get about 1,227 contents. Right? I can give multiple filters also. For example, along with this, I can say that, well, I would like to just look at, say, Hindi contents. So I get 39 results which are Hindi contents. I'll leave that because everybody here may not be Hindi speaking. You can decide on the, within this, you can decide on the learning resource type. You can say whether there are 89 photographs in this, 342 activity kind of contents. There are books, collections, and so on. So we can have multiple filters on this. For example, let's put something like exam fear. That's another source. So now what you see is contents on magnetism, which are from 4, 9, and 10, and comes from the source exam fear. So these are all exam fear contents. You can see the thumbnail, the title, the source, etc. So you can go to any one of them, click on that, and you are taken to that particular content. On right, you see a hierarchical presentation of this content. So it helps you be in the context that under magnetic effect and electric current, these are the contents that comes from exam fear. You can click on this and then it starts from the, I mean, it's from YouTube. So it starts working on the, you can look at the metadata tab to actually see what other different metadata. It says the source, the content type, the language, the educational level. What is the learning resource type? This is a video lecture. And it says access restriction is open. So which means that, it is openly available to everyone. Okay. So I'm back to the results. I clear the exam fear. Let's look at access restriction. So it says that there are, out of this 1,227, 1,223 are open contents. So you can read them, you can download them, and so on. Whereas 4 are authorized contents. So these contents come from here, as I see, come from PHET. So these are authorized contents. They are not totally free. You will need to have, let's see what happens on this. So it gives you the different information about this, but not directly the content. Okay. So then you can go and download the content from here and so on. So for authorized content, you must have noticed that we have come out of the NDLI. Because it's the authorization of the PHET that allows you the content. So, content could be open, or it could be, varied kinds of authorization. Or some content from the publisher may be priced also. That percentage is less, but it's also there. Now, besides that, here there is a feature to browse. You can go to any of these and browse. So you can browse by subject. So these are DDC, subject hierarchy, as most of you would be familiar with, up to 3 levels. Say, if I go to social sciences at the first level, then in the second level, I get to see all of these different. So let's say I take culture and institutions, and in this again, there's no other further level here. So these are some 79,000 contents on this. I can see the content types. There are a lot of text. There are 333 videos. So you can also, instead of just searching, you could also browse based on subject, based on source, based on type, and so on. But what is further interesting is what you get to see. So this is the general services that you have. What you get to see here. These all cards are basically collections. So you can go to school, and here you have collections particularly curated for different type of school requirements. So there are video lectures for school, different collections of video lectures. They are a preparation material for joint entrance examination, which is the biggest engineering entrance examination that in India, and so on. So there are books and question papers separately curated and so on. So the collections are particularly very useful and interesting for the students. For example, we have a CBSE collection here, which CBSE is one of our big central boards. We have 33 boards of that. CBSE is one of the largest central board, and which conducts a board examination at the end of class 10 and class 12. So here you can see a different organization. You can see class 10 contents for CBSE according to the different content types. You can see them by subject and so on. So every collection has its own structure and is built in a way so that people requiring to use this collection can surf through them and find their interest areas, interest contents very easily. So the first two, as you can see, is study at home, which was particularly more of it was curated and created during the COVID onset. Then there is a COVID research repository where we tried to collect different research material for impacts due to COVID, just not the medical impact. Then we have featured collections like this year is the 100th year of the famous filmmaker Satyajit Ray from Bengal, who went on to win a Lifetime Oscar award. So his different collections, manuscripts of his films. There are 38 manuscripts of his films, handwritten, decorated, and curated, and in multiple different ways. So there's a major richness of NDLI which can be viewed in multiple different ways. So I think I'll stop sharing. This must have given you some idea about the site. So I will just go back to the presentation and quickly close. I'm sure I've run out of time. So this is where we came from, accessing the library. That is what we saw. And I think the subsequent few slides I'll skip. Those are some of those are what I did in the demonstration. So these are the different services, COVID-19 research repository, I talked about a little. The variety of cultural and documentary heritage. South Asia Archive is something very interesting. This is a paid service actually, but we have a national license on them. So through NDLI, it could be seen as free. Then Satyajit Ray's movie collections, I talk about. Different featured collections we talk about. Naturally, on the way, as you go along with this big task, you earn certain accolades. So we got a few. Of that, we are really proud about this one, Open Resilience Award, which was given to NDLI for its response, big response to the COVID time crisis of books and learning material for the students. There are various ways we do outreach and promotion. Certainly certain parts you are getting to see. We are active on social media. We have clubs at local organizations, schools and colleges. We could also open clubs. Anirban will talk about that. And we have regular publications of newsletters, which deal about different aspects of digital library and library sciences in general. International partner and outreach, I leave that for Anirban, and also the engagement model. So I'm sorry I crossed the time, but I just wanted to give you some comprehensive idea about the National Digital Library of India. I'm sure you will have a lot of questions and I would be happy to answer them. So let me close at this point, and it's back to Anirban for taking the discussions forward.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Das, for that presentation. And that allows us to move into the second part of our meeting, which is the perspectives from institutes, right? So here, we would like each participating institute today to tell us a little about your institution with particular reference to your digital repositories and the nature of the e-contents that you host. That is the first point we'd like you to make. Followed by your ideas about how to collaborate with us. Now that you have an idea about what the NDLI is, how do you think you could collaborate with us and work together? And finally, we'll take some initial questions from you, your top of the mind questions and queries about various aspects of the NDLI. Do remember that we also have a group discussion afterwards. So any further questions that you might have can be addressed then, but we will certainly take a few questions from you in this initial round itself. Right. So once again, we will go in the order that we had at the beginning. We would like to begin with the University of Rajshahi from Bangladesh. So Professor Rehman, now in fact, if you would like to tell us a little about the university and the digital library that it operates.
Thank you. My colleague, Mr. Rahman.
So your mic is echoing quite a bit.
Rahman.
You have two devices, this happens. Don't have two devices on same way.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Distinguished participants from our university and other colleagues, very good morning to all. Now I would like to present a very brief introduction about the Central Library of University of Rajshahi. So the library was established in 1955. The present library building was established in 1964. The beautiful architectural library building is situated at the focal point of the university. It is a 3-storied building with 55,000 square feet of space area. And our library user is 30,000 plus. To offer better library services, we have divided our library in different sections. So the first section is the administrative section. This section includes the librarian and administrator's office. The main purpose of this section is to take the suitable decision for the proper library administration and better library management. And another is the acquisition sections, mainly work on purchasing of required hard copy materials and other reading materials from various publishers and suppliers. Then our processing section, which is the very important sections of this library, because all the collected reading materials are classified and cataloged here. We are using Koha software, so all the purchased materials are accessions, properly accessioned, and then classified and cataloging are done here, and all this used in Mark 21 format for Koha software. And then we have a periodicals and newspaper sections, mainly printed journals, bound volume of printed journals, magazines, daily newspapers, and other periodicals publications are kept here for use. Then we have circulation sections. This is the one-stop solution center for the library. Book borrowing facilities, library clearance services, and other important services are offered from these sections. We have reference, rare books, and documentation information sections. The main purpose of these sections, all the reference materials and MPhil, PhD theses are kept here for use. Then we have a computer sections or a computer lab. It is a computer lab with 40 desktops, computers. This lab used as a e-resource access center for the library. All the subscribed resources can be used from these sections. Actually, the University of Rajshahi subscribed a lot of electronic resources through the consortiums. In Bangladesh, there are two consortium works here. One from the UGC and another in the Library Consortium of Bangladesh. These two consortia, we have get a lot of electronic resources. And we have also some registered e-resources like Hinari, Agora, Ori, etc. Then we have audio-visual sections. All the audio-visual materials are kept here, and user can easily use audio-visual resources of this library by sitting here. And we have reprographic sections. Library user can take photocopy services from these sections. And the library has a binding section also. The library has its own binding sections for repairing and maintaining the quality of hard copy books so that we can manage the old books for our users. And we have a large stack sections. Mainly all the issuable materials, issuable hard copy books are kept here so that if a user comes, then he can take services. He can borrow materials from these sections. And the library has two discussion rooms, mainly for group studies. Reading room section, or we have a general reading room. Mainly the Faculty of Arts, Law, Business Studies, and Social Science books are kept here. User can use from these sections. And another reading room area is Science reading room. Faculty of Science, Life and Earth Science, Agriculture, and Engineering books are kept here for use. Collections, the library has a total hard copy of 3,20,717 books. Total printed journals, magazines, mainly bound volumes, 42,775. Online books subscribed and registered, near about 50,000. Online journals, database and of different publishers, 22 databases we are subscribed through consortium. MPhil and PhD theses, we have about 2,700 MPhil and PhD dissertations. All are digitized, but we don't have start our repository yet. We have Puthia collection. Mainly Puthia Rajshahi is one of the important sites of Bangladesh, archaeological sites actually in Bangladesh. We have collect 871 books from this Rajshahi collections. So it is also an archival value, valuable materials. We are trying to digitize this also. We have news clippings, mainly newspaper bound volume. We collected from 1949. Different important newspapers are bound volume here. And technology adoption of RUCL. We have used Koha software for our automation purpose, and institutional repository software DSpace, which is under implementation. Already we have digitized our resources, but we don't input it in the software because of some our administrative decisions. In the meantime, we have already got the decisions, and we are trying to input all these materials in the DSpace software. Library website, we are using Drupal software for library websites, and discovery tools Viewfind, which we are trying to implement here. And reading materials, security, and advanced usability, we are using RFID services. This is our library website, and this is the institutional repository homepage, which will be implemented and start within a very short times. Hopefully, it will take 1 or 2 months. Will be start these services from Rajshahi University. And this is our online public access catalog. This is the OPEC search result page. And this is our e-resources pages of from our websites. Thank you so much for enjoying my presentation.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, given the focus of our meeting today, with particular reference to any open contents that you might have, and these digital collections that you talked about, we understand that many of these are still being digitized. They are not accessible immediately just yet, right? So given this status, I mean, we would like to have your ideas about how you think we could collaborate, Rajshahi University and the National Digital Library of India. I had also sent Professor Rahman a few background documents in this regard. So we'd like to have your views now about areas of collaboration. And of course, we will come back to this later in our meeting also. So Professor Rahman, other colleagues, do you have some ideas about areas in which Rajshahi and NDLI could cooperate?
Sorry, I have lost it.
So do you have 2 devices in your room?
Yeah.
So switch, just mute one. Not this one. You are speaking, you mute the sound of the other one. There will be no echo.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm having problem with the screen, I think. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you very much for hearing. We have, in principle, we have decided to collaborate with NDLI, and we are seeking proper permission from the authorities. For sharing the contents, we will need permission. But right away, we can go for the level 1 of your collaboration proposal. So,
okay, sir.
We will discuss about that.
Fine.
So I would like to hear the other libraries today. They are participating today.
Okay.
So let us go to hear from the other partners.
Okay. Certainly. No, thank you very much. It's good to know that you're considering level 1 and level 2 of collaboration. We will take some of your questions during the group Q&A session then. And for the moment, we can move on to the next institution. Now here, I mean, I would just request your permission to change the order of speakers and institutions a little here. British Council was supposed to come up next, but I know that Mr. Rajiv Tikku is under some pressure to be in a couple of other meetings which are also overlapping with us. So with Praveena and Shobhadeep's permission, if we could have OneWorld Foundation first and then the British Council.
Absolutely.
Would that be
okay.
all right with you?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much, Praveena. In that case, Rajiv, if you could tell us a little about the Ek Dunya Anek Awaz repository and OneWorld.
Thank you, Anirban, and thank you very much for this help. And very good morning, everybody, again. And it was a pleasure hearing Professor Das on the kind of amazing work they have already initiated and done, and the kind of possibilities it opens for all of us, actually. It's really eye-opening, to be honest. And just to briefly sum up where I come from and where we are and where we can go together on this, I'll just briefly, quickly share some of my ideas. Just to begin with, I come from OneWorld Foundation India, which is a part of a global network of OneWorlds all over the world. There are around 10 OneWorlds all over the world. And we're the Indian affiliate. Having said that, we're registered in India as a Section 25 company, Section 8 now, which in simpler terms is a social enterprise, essentially. And we focus on essentially on information communication technology for development, how we position ourselves. Bring together communication as well as marry it with basic technology, which could vary from websites to mobile applications to IVR helplines to info kiosks in simpler language. But probably that is besides the scope of this one. So I'll come back to one of our focus areas is actually on radio, where we are already engaging with the Government of India, UN agencies, and more importantly and pertinently here with educational institutions in India. And I'll come to that a bit in more detail, but having said that, our other collaborations have been particularly with IDS Sussex also, and also IIT Mumbai some while ago. And our work has been also highlighted by some publications which have been brought out by Harvard University Press and Rajshahi UK and also World Bank. This is where we come from as a parent organization. And coming back to the focus of this discussion, one of our initiatives is called Ek Dunya Anek Awaz, One World, Many Voices. So what we're trying to promote is diversity. And here we're focusing on community radio stations in India, essentially. For some of my friends, community radio stations are non-commercial FM stations, which are run by either NGOs or educational institutions or by agricultural universities under their banner of Krishi Vigyan Kendras. So what we have done is we created this platform, which is a Creative Commons kind of a property, where we have, what we have done is we created a page for each organization to upload and upload their content and publish their content there. We're giving them rights and all that. So it's in a way, it's a very, very small, minuscule way of doing what you are doing on a much larger scale, but we're trying to do in our own way in the audio space, where we're talking about community engagement essentially. So this Ek Dunya Anek Awaz platform is an audio and knowledge repository, as I said, and it tries to promote the exchange of knowledge and resources between community radio stations, which are resource constrained generally, and which are also small entities. So these stations are also engaging on this platform with Government of India and various ministries and state governments, and also various United Nations agencies also. And what these agencies, organizations are encouraged to do is upload their content on this Ek Dunya Anek Awaz portal, and where we try to reorganize it as per our own tagging. It's language-wise. There are around 60 languages, as I said, and it's also thematically. For example, there are 45 themes, and some of them are focused on. We try to realign them to sustainable development goals. Sustainable development, as you would know, there are 17 of them. So that's the other thrust. In all, as of now, we're around 15,000 programs, and these are cutting across 45 themes. Then we also try to publish policy guidelines and also various other engaging issues here. So this is a unique kind of a platform where we do data analytics at the back end. What we realize, it's not only the community radio stations, which are very small in number, 300 right now, 315 in India, and all of them are not operational, unfortunately. But this resource is also being used by our South Asian community, particularly in Bangladesh and Nepal, which have a very thriving community radio sector. And also, more importantly, which is very interesting for us also, the diaspora community all over the world. So what we also realize is that even the plantation workers who have migrated maybe 2 generations back to Mauritius, they're still interested in knowing what is happening back home in their village back home. Similarly, we also seen from even surprising from Latin America also, we have people who keep on downloading content and listening to it in terms of it's in a dialect, it's in local dialect, it's in regional language, and it also keeps on engaging with their motherland back on the backside. So that is how it is structured. This just captures the overall snapshot of the Ek Duniya Anek Hours platform. The second thing is we also broadcast programs on All India Radio, which is the public sector broadcaster in India. It has the for our friends from other parts of the world. This All India Radio has a reach of around 95% geographical footprint is covering in India, which is the largest. Even if we put all TV channels together and all print media together, All India Radio still surpasses all of it actually. And we also broadcast radio programs on All India Radio. We have a section which is dedicated to development issues on All India Radio. We also archive these programs here actually, because All India Radio is a very live kind of a broadcast. So all these programs, broadcast ones, are lost for good. So we also try to put them up here. And in terms of utility, what I've seen is this also used by educational institutions, also NGOs, in terms of accelerating development at the grassroots. They people who don't have access to say radio, say in terms of they don't have lots of resources. What they do is they download the programs and do narrowcasting. They hold smaller groups and try to drive home the development issue, behavioral change communication, and also push for development agenda at the grassroots with the help of people. The community engagement is at the core of this whole initiative. So this is where we are. And we also developed a mobile application for this website. So anybody who's interested in listening to the programs can download the website mobile application and keep on listening to it also. This is a brief summation of where we are right now. And in terms of, I think one of the questions that Nirban you had to my predecessor was that why do you see the engagement part of it? What I would like to, I have a few questions, probably they'll come a bit later. But in terms of, well, the Professor Partha Das was very detailed, and of course, this meeting probably the time wouldn't do justice to the kind of work you want to showcase. But in terms of when I saw the sections and subsections and the search and advanced search, but how does this match with the kind of tagging we have done, for example, at the back end? Now, how do probably that's a question which could be taken later. But in terms of where we could engage, is probably we could also look at probably can we realign our work retrospectively a bit to reflect the best of our work on through your NDLI website. Actually, that's something that would engage my mind right now. Whether that's a possibility, whether we need to probably restructure it without really disturbing or putting lots of resources here. Whether that's a possibility. And second is in terms of also whether the sections, the kind of ways what we focus on, whether they're really reflected on the kind of keywords, the kind of search options you have there. So those are two questions which would engage me going forward, actually, when we look at the engagement with NDLI, actually. Thank you very much. I would like to pause here.
Okay. In fact, before we put those questions to Professor Das, Rajiv, if you could also tell us in a line or two about the fact that you use Creative Commons licensing. These are all openly licensed programs on your website, right?
Right, that's true. These are openly licensed and subscribe to Creative Commons. So these are available free for anybody as of now also.
Okay. All right. And that is, yeah. Professor Das, for you, the first question was about matching tagging, which I think means
yes,
the metadata.
I know. Really encouraging to know. So one world, many voices, and we say one India, one library, right? So because it's not only voices, it is voices, visions, everything unified at one place. Of course, what all you are doing, I mean, see, NDLI, I said, is very inclusive. So any area of learning, you cannot leave out any part of human life where there is no learning. Any area of learning can be mapped to the kind of learning content descriptors that we have. Obviously, it could be subject-wise, it could be level of education-wise, it could be type of education-wise, and so on. those details we'll have to work out. We have naturally integrated over 400 sources, and everywhere this question obviously comes that the source has a certain categorization of their own. And we have to follow one common structure. So there is what we have worked out is a detailed process which is a mixture of automation and manual of how do you map from a given structure through what is our structure. And in that process, if we really need to make an extension, we can always do that because it's all ours. For example, we have collection of LibriVox, which I mean, I'm just saying in terms of the audio collections. So there, it is mostly stories, so they get mapped in a certain way. Certainly, your educational collections will have all varieties of mapping, but I do not see any major bottleneck in terms of doing that, and it would be a great win-win to converge the many voices of OneWorld into the one library. That is what I look forward to. I have one to specific questions. In this whole thing, do you have any kind of areas covering the disabled, particularly the blind?
We do have a thematic category on disability and inclusiveness, but I'm not too sure whether we have something specifically on vision impaired people. So there, but if there are programs, they can be added to that. That's not an issue because very modular kind of structure where any new category we keep on adding those.
Now I was asking because audio contents are one of the key learning source for the visually impaired and the blind. So whether, because we are also building up, it's not there on the live side, we are also building up a sub portal for the disabled with initial focus on the blind. So we were asking about that. I think that is a very great, I mean, this is great to know of your initiative. Really proud to have seen what you have been doing, really. And I see a great opportunity that we can work together and integrate and build this up further. Whereas you are saying that once we sort out the metadata issues, we can integrate these CC license contents into NDLI so that wider audience can get to see them in the proper context. And the other is certainly we do see a lot of gap areas in different educational aspects. So we could discuss with you whether it is possible for you to pick up programs in those areas. Yes, Anirban, that was
one question. And the second question from Mr. Teku was, in case, if I understood you rightly, in case you want to restructure your current categorizations a little to try and showcase the best of your work, the best of Ek Duniya Aneka was, how would that be addressed vis-a-vis mapping into NDLI?
Both can be done. That's not a, because when we do it when we show them by source, this will become Ek Duniya Aneka was will become a source in NDLI. So when we browse source wise, we could have a, separate priorities put on that. But when the contents go into different sections, like in different collections of education or on general search and browse, they will fall into the general category. So it's not, I mean, I would not immediately try to comment that whether a restructuring is required or not, because it needs a lot of study, and they have been doing it for so long. So there must be a very strong rationale behind the way it is. It has evolved over a time. And we have to see how to make the best fit in terms of the presentation to the, I mean, I would not ever think that it's a good idea to just try to, tweak and put it into NDLI's forms, and that is what should be done. No, because we have done that for several sources and tried to keep their characteristics and what NDLI can present to the general users in terms of that.
Second, sorry, I just have one small question here. Second thing is we must have a partnership base of around 100 educational institutions which are our partners, but we find general reluctance on their behalf to share content, not because they have any issues on base of principles, but in terms of resources, because it takes time and effort and energy to put up there. So that's another area which would engage me, that can we somehow probably try to incentivize them to be more proactive actually. As I said that these are pages to be managed by them, where we're only moderators at the end of the day. So
yeah, we go through this problem every
right,
day.
Sir. Right, sir.
we can discuss and
right, sir.
and share ideas and try to see what kind of institutions they are.
Right,
some institutions are directly being incentivized by the ministry.
Right, sir.
Now, whether such things can be done or what mechanisms, we can certainly take up that discussion. It will be really, I mean, it's really great to know about this project, and we'd be very interested to take this discussion forward and look for the integration and collaboration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Teku, just in case you can't stay on for the group discussion because of your other commitments, if there is any last questions or comments that you'd like to make.
No. So thanks a lot. I'm done with this,
Okay.
and I'll just try to stay as long as I can, and then.
Sure. Yes, please.
Thank you very much,
Mr. Permission. Yeah. Thank you.
And we will take this forward with you. All the institutions separately after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
All right. Now we will come to the British Council. So, Praveena and Shubhadeep, if you could tell us a little about the British Council Digital Library and its contents and how we could work together.
Okay. So the British Council Digital Library active marketing only began in the year 2017. We have currently 9,000 active members pan-India. As you know, we charge for this facility. It is not free that we give, but we charge for it. We have a lot of content within this digital library. We subscribe to databases like Inuit, RB Digital, Quest Reader, eBook Central, Comic Plus, ProQuest, Quello, JSTOR. We also have, Canopy, which we use, as well as EBSCO. Now, we have also introduced an app called MyLoft, where all these are available on it. And mainly we get our database is subscribed by maybe between the ages of 18 to maybe 45 or 50. Shubhadeep, you can correct me there if I'm wrong, but that is the major chunk of the people that subscribe to our database. We are a very different library. We like to give a holistic approach. So, we want music, we have theater, we have ebooks, we have audiobooks. We do a lot of programming through our digital library. We have run successfully management workshops through using our Inuit content. We have done reading challenges using content from our ebooks for children. We and now, of course, given the present time, we are focusing a lot on our digital library, and the subscription has also increased because of that. Our physical spaces, we are a typical library as far as our physical spaces go, but we also convert to a cultural center as and when needed, where we use content from our physical library to host various seminars, programs, book launches, and the likes. So that's, in a nutshell, that's where we are. We also do have some free content that is available to people through our online library, and basically these center around English and learning English, English in the workplace. So people can, log on to the website. They can get access to learning English online, English courses for adults, teens and kids. There's a bit of corporate training there. Our focus is, of course, UK content, because we are the British Council. So we focus mainly on UK content as far as we're concerned. Shubhadeep, anything you would like to add?
Praveena, you have actually touched upon almost everything. I just wanted to add that, yes, as Praveena mentioned, that we have some contents which have partial openness in nature. So we need to think that how we can collaborate with NDLI, as you have your own set of metadata standard, and how to sync with these two technologies. And also, we are bit concerned about the technical part, but the content itself would be very useful. As you said, that NDLI not only focusing on the educational digital resources, like ebooks, and in terms of ebooks and the journals and other paper materials which are converted in a format of digital, but also like some workshops or seminar or events which would be very useful for the masses. For an example, like we are having these Study UK informative sessions every month. So that would be very important for the people of our country and worldwide maybe. So that could be synced to that NDLI portal. So these are the areas we can collaborate with. That's it, Ravina. That's it, sir.
All
So,
right. So
that's us.
fine. So to summarize briefly, this is a combination of being able to share contents with the NDLI that you're looking at, and also some amount of user engagement and joint interactive activities.
Yes, that's right.
That's right. Yeah. And do you have any questions at this stage about any aspect of the NDLI? Okay.
Not at the moment.
All right, fine. We'll take that during the group discussion then. And Professor Das, any comments?
I mean, thank you very much. I mean, British Council, of course, everybody knows. I have a couple of questions in this, or comments also. One is certainly, as Shubhadeep has mentioned, that there are shareable contents which can be integrated to NDLI, right? That is, if I understood correctly. Because
shareable content in the sense those are open to the masses. Partially open. But we are using our own portal. We are using our own mobile application. But the question is how to sync with your portal.
I know. That is on one side. So that is a technically not a very difficult problem to solve, because we have done that in several other cases. So since you have your own portal and you have your mobile application, you will be having your own metadata standard structure that you are following. You will have your own, different words that you basically collection of words that you use for description and so on. So again, as I was explaining to Mr. Tikku, we will go through the mapping process, and that, I mean, our structure is such that we can bring in practically any kind of structure that exists for someone. So that I do not see as a big problem. My other question was that, while we do this integration, can we do it for all contents? Because the way it works is we do not copy any content, whether it is open or it's not open. I think I tried to show a certain content during my demonstration from PAGT, which was authorized. There are contents which are publisher subscribed and so on. So what happens is we can integrate all contents. Now, what happens is if the user is trying to access any content, the request naturally goes to British Council collection. Now, if that is free, open in that collection, the user will get it. If it is not, then the user will get an advisory that you need to have subscription for British Council to be able to access this. So we will have to work on this, but I think we can integrate the entire collection, because that will make a win-win, because a lot more of users who may not be so familiar with what is available specifically in British Council collection would get to know that. And I do see, because right now I do not have, but in past, I'm also from Kolkata. So in past, me and my wife, we used to have, when we used to stay in Kolkata, we used to have British Council membership. We used to even physically visit at times and so on. So I know it has a collection of a different flavor, I should say. Not a very usual library, digital library.
Exactly.
Which is very useful for a large section of our library users, right? So that is a separate discussion we would like to take up, but I think the integration can be thought of in a total scale.
Sir, I like your idea as well. Like you mentioned, like, you know, if somebody then gets to our website and then they are told that you need to subscribe in order to collect.
That's it.
I think
our model is very simple, that we are the facilitator between the source and the user.
Okay.
Now, the actual content access is an agreement between the user and the source provider, and that needs to be directly negotiated. We don't get into that.
Okay.
So it's very, very rarely. I mean, there are only maybe a couple of thousand contents which are donated to us because the sources could not maintain them. But otherwise, we don't keep any content. We are just doing this facilitation part. So the advantage is you can decide on your policies of what kind of terms you want to have on different contents, what is free, what is subscribed, what may be on other terms, and so on and so forth. We don't get into that at all. But
okay, that's helpful.
That helps both of us.
Yeah.
Because it helps us to have a, you know, being able to show the user as to what British Council can offer would certainly enrich our culture, heritage aspects, and literature, history, these kind of aspects. Specific aspect to UK. India makes a lot of references to UK in every sphere of life. Those will get enriched, and for you, the overall exposure will get increased. So that's the whole model we're talking about.
Helpful, sir. Helpful. Thank you.
And Shubhodesh's last comment about events and all that, on that I would comment that we cannot carry that in the portal, because this portal is a library. It is the general one. But what we do, and we do that for many partners, is we also actively run a parallel Facebook page, which has a couple of 100,000 followers. So these kind of things, interesting things on putting there. Right. So once we will give you the contact of the Facebook person from us, and he will pass on to that person, and he or she will put it up on the Facebook and create an event. Maybe some of these events could be jointly done also. NDLI and British Council can do certain joint events. We do that very often, and that would be very, very useful. You are conducting an event, and we can take it to our NDLI clubs at different schools and colleges, and make it visible to them. We do conduct events for the clubs. We can give you a direct platform there. We will get you a couple of maybe 1,000 audience students, and you will conduct the program. Right. So these are the opportunities. Once we start working together, the opportunities would be really, really good. So I would like to, you would like to
absolutely, sir. Absolutely. That will help both of us.
Yes,
like that will help us to promote our
we have created NDLI clubs
the wider,
as a mechanism, so that you can have small groups in the school or college who can discuss, who can do activities together, and so on. Currently, there are about 2,000 clubs with about 1 lakh student registration in India. And besides that, they can do local events. Besides that, we have option of doing centrally coordinated event from NDLI headquarters. So there, we are planning to have good lectures, good teaching programs, information programs. Like there are a lot of UK related programs British Council does, I know. So we can do those, and we can do on a partnership. So you may be able, you may be transmitting that on Facebook Live or other channels, but we will also bring you through our NDLI, and we will get you that audience from our NDLI clubs. It will be beneficial for those clubs. They may not even, many of the schools across India may not even be very aware of British Council. And certainly you are between Chennai, Delhi, and Kolkata, I know. You can't reach out to different sections. So there are a lot of these activities also we can take it up.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. We will definitely discuss all these things within our team, and we will come back to you.
Right.
Thank you.
Anirban will coordinate that.
Okay.
Sorry, Anirban. I was meant to make possibly 2-minute comment, and I.
No. This is excellent. I think very helpful for all of us.
Like old professors cannot stop talking.
Thank you very much. And we will
Thank
now
you,
come
Pravina
to the.
Let's move on to Sri Lanka.
Yeah, the Open University of Sri Lanka. So, Mr. Harsha Balasurya, if you could please lead the discussion here. So once again, we would like to hear about the digital repositories and e-contents of your university. And based on that, your ideas about partnership with NDLI and what you think we could do together.
Okay, thank you very much, all of you. And actually, as Mr. Animan said, the Open University is very specific institute that we are in university our teaching mode is open and distance learning. Therefore, the online these days, the online thing is online content is very important. Even though the Open University is still mostly followed by the traditional methods, and now with the COVID situation, now we are very concerned about these online things. In that sense, this your initiative is very important to us. I mean, not only us but all Sri Lanka. So therefore, we are rethinking about certain especially in the development stage. So how to adapt your certain protocols and all technical things with our systems, and actually we also seeking those advice from your institute, and future we can have good collaboration with Sri Lanka and that particular digital library. For the time being, the Open University library, now we have basically 3 digital content repositories. The first one is that very popular one is past question papers. We have archive. I mean, more than 10,000 collections in a public domain. So I don't know whether it is useful or not, but in our students, we have 40,000 students in Open University. They are highly use this past question paper archive. The second thing is that we have research collection, academic collections, and teaching resources, digital library, digital repository. That basically we have research papers and certain videos, and reading materials and PowerPoint presentations, certain book chapters and some certain data sets and all. So those are but for the time being we have only around 2,000 collections in there. Actually, these days we are rethinking about redesigning the repositories because now we understand there are certain issues with those resources, copyrights and all. So that is also in a kind of development stage, and we also try to digitize our thesis and all, but still there are issues with the copyrights and for the digital materials, and we are waiting for this getting those clearance from our particular committees and all to implement those projects. That is the second thing. And third thing is that we are very interesting on the OER, Open Education Resources. Now we have separate collection of open education resources, and in future all our course materials planning to go with the OER mode. So therefore that is good resources to, I mean, the whole world, because we have a lot of, I mean, the very common degrees like from social science to engineering and all. So this would be a very good resources in future, but still these days we are planning those things, but the copyright is the main issue, and there are certain quality control issues as well. So these things are going on. In OER collections, now we have around around 2,000 collections, but the OER we downloaded from other universities with the help of academics and the certain guide with the guidance, and we have collections, and we also put those into our repositories, and these days the project is progressing. Actually, every repositories, these materials are in a public domain. Actually, that what we think about this, the issue is the quality control, qualities of the certain materials and all. So those are the those are the main challenges and main challenge and the issue of these things. Certain materials not get proper copyrights. And the systems also sometimes not up to certain standards. We use the DSpace as a hosting platform. So we are not much, we don't have much resources, but this is a good stage to initiate those things with your, I mean, the guidance and all. So that's our status of the digital collections and repositories. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir. Would any of your colleagues like to add to your points in any way? Any other colleagues from Open University Sri Lanka like to supplement what Mr. Balasuriya said? Okay. Okay. In which case, Professor Das, can we have a few quick comments from you about this?
Sure. Really nice to know about this Open University. Anirban, did you share the NROC thoughts with them?
The NROC, no, not yet. No, we haven't talked about that.
So that's another frame by Dr. Balasuriya. There are about 800 open universities in India. Open and dual universities. Not every university in that category is open. Some are dual, that is, they have some open programs and some actual physical university programs. So coordinated by SEMCA and us, we have taken a program to integrate the open universities. This we are calling NROC. This is still not there on the site. This is a project that has just begun. Kind of 3-4 open universities we have signed up with or in the process of getting signed up with. The idea here is that the open university has two distinct roles to play in our view. One certainly is to provide the open contents, which is a common agenda, common OER agenda. The other is open university has to give a proper, open course packaging to the student. Open courses are not that way, that way packaged in the same way that the regular, face-to-face courses are done. So in the process, what's been happening, what we have observed in the open universities, dual universities in India is that maybe around the same curriculum, 10 different courses have been formed. But they are but being in the open nature and being with OER contents, there does not need to be 10 different forms. So there is a good possibility of actually not only sharing contents, but actually sharing courses, the plans, the curriculum, the pedagogy, the lectures, all of that. So NROC is designated for such a platform. And with analysis, it also part analysis that Anirban and his colleagues did, it also shows that there are many areas where the open courses are not there. So what is happening is many people are focusing on some courses, and there are areas where people should focus where people have not taken up. So there is no, in India, there's no platform where you can go and say, I want to do a course on film editing. Give me the list of open university courses. There is no such. You will not be able to, you will get into Google search and go to America, UK, everywhere and get lost. So NROC is that kind of a platform. I think that will have a very good synergy with what you are doing, and it will be extremely mutually beneficial. So that was one comment I had. I would, Anirban will give you more information on that because this we were doing more as a traditional digital library discussion. So NROC we did not bring in here, gets complicated.
Yeah.
The second is regarding OER. Obviously, we have a lot of focus in OER. So I would request Anirban to share you some of the major OER collections that are already there in NDLI. So I will, what you can do is you can put those collection references in your digital collection. Like NROER is one big collection of India. There are OER collections from our video lectures. There are about 100,000 video lectures on different topics from Government of India. So these kind of OERs you can right away start using, and then we can discuss how to get more OERs integrated and so on. The third point I would like to mention is I can understand when we got started, we had a lot of technical challenges. I come from computer science, you understand. So I knew nothing of library science in 2014 when we got started. So we had to go from door to door and learn different things. So in that way, if you need some information help, if you need some technical training, technical resources to be shared and so on, please let us know. I think by now we have developed quite a few. I'm still not a technology expert in this area, but there are quite a few in the team who have that expertise, and we would be happy to share that to help you through that process. For your kind information, NDLI is also built on DSpace. We have customized, but it is built on DSpace. So DSpace is good. Yeah. And there are shortcomings, but it's still pretty good. So we have about a total of about 71 million contents, and all those metadata stay in the DSpace installation. Right. So I think these are the three comments I had. Really nice to hear about your university.
Yes, sir. Basically, yeah. Give me 1 minute, Mr. Anuman.
Yes,
actually,
please.
Actually, we are these days we are concerned about the quality controls and all, and we are in a very initial stage of developing digital library. Actually, we need your support because you have a lot of experience with this huge work with your national digital library. So we need we have separate teams, network manager and technical officer, and very small team. So we need a technical with your advice and also from scratch, so we can develop those things in the DSpace. And in future, I mean, please facilitate us to contact you and with your team.
Absolutely. In India, we have conducted more than 100 workshops at different levels and technical requirements. And those fortunately mostly can be done in webinar form also. So that's not a problem at all. Anirban can certainly coordinate with our technical team and arrange that for you. And possibly it will make sense to have some more university representatives from Sri Lanka and Bangladesh and others also join in, because it's a webinar form, because that just saves resources from our side. But I know the pain it takes to learn about how to build a digital library, because we had to learn it by ourselves by making hundreds of mistakes. Yeah. So we would be more than happy to share our knowledge and expertise with you so that you don't have to go through that pain again. Yeah. Right. So please feel free to ask Anirban about anything in terms of technical knowledge you might need.
So other thing is now we have huge collections of past question papers. Is that valid for your side?
Your huge collection of
past question papers?
Yes.
That is, so we have 10,000 collection of past question papers.
Yes, of course. Right. The only point is we'll have to do the metadata for that.
Yeah, we have
to do the metadata. So for question papers and all, we also have a basic workout of what kind of metadata we do. We have also a lot of question papers in the collection. So you'll have to slowly do that metadata.
Yeah, we have separate Dublin co-schema for these metadata past question papers. So
yeah, so question papers are, students want question papers. Students don't want knowledge. They want skill to do better in examination. Yeah. Right. So they want question papers, they want model solutions, they want answers, they want tutorials, they want assignments. So it will be of great value if you can provide that to us.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Then.
Thank you, Dr. Balasurya.
Thank you.
And Dr. Balasurya, just to spell the NROC out for you, this stands for the National Repository of Open Courses. All right. And as Professor Das mentioned, the idea is to consolidate the course materials, content, structures of India's open universities and bring it onto a single platform. And in fact, very much like your status, a number of the open universities that we have been dealing with here also have extensive archives of question papers which are readily available in the public domain. They would like to share that with us. They have also begun integrating OERs from different sources and other institutions, much like you have been doing. And also, the similarity with you extends further because many of them, well, of course, some of them already have their own self-learning materials available publicly and openly. But for others too, they're in a development stage where they have those materials in more traditional formats, but they're in the process of trying to digitize it and host it in their online repositories before it can be shared with the NROC. Right? So these are all points that we will, discuss with you in detail later and include you in these discussions, and we can collaborate accordingly. Fine. In that case, we then move on to the final segment of our meeting, which is the group discussion. And a number of questions have already been addressed, so this can probably be kept fairly brief. I would just like to begin this by sharing a slide with you. Okay, is this visible? Can you see this?
Yeah.
Yes, we can see it.
All right. So when we talk about partnerships, there are typically three areas of collaboration that we have in mind. The first is user engagement. And by this, we mean making the NDLI and all its resources freely and openly available to all your staff, students, your library users, etc. Right? Login and registration is not strictly necessary. You can do a lot and access a lot of contents without it. But as Professor Das mentioned earlier, it is recommended. So there are two ways in which we can do this. We can send you a format in which you can send us many of your user details, the names and email addresses. And then from the backend, we can register all of them here. And they can start using the NDLI. Or you can simply request your users and students, etc., to self-register themselves on the NDLI platform using the login button. There are obvious benefits to this. Your users will gain direct access to all the NDLI's resources from multiple repositories around the world. And in some ways, this is also sometimes a way to publicly launch our partnership and collaboration. The second area of activity is content sharing. And a number of you mentioned this. You have expressed your interest in sharing some of your digital contents with us. Of course, the NDLI is primarily an educational platform, so we would certainly be very interested in trying to integrate some of your academic and educational resources, other unique digital collections that you might have. And also increasingly, we have a very strong vertical in cultural heritage and documentary heritage, which also Professor Das mentioned. So any heritage collections which are available in digital format are also welcome. Once again, this has certain benefits for both you and us. One is your contents will gain a far wider audience. There will be far greater visibility and exposure for your contents because the NDLI user base, which is currently more than 3 million, will all have regular access to this. And for our NDLI users also, these users benefit from content from other countries, a slightly more diverse base of content. So that's a benefit for us, certainly. The third is deep collaboration. And by this, we tend to mean slightly longer term collaborations, which involve developing digital libraries together. And, Dr. Balasuriya, this is very much like what you just said. In case you need some support and assistance in developing a digital library, creating an online repository, these are areas in which we can readily help in terms of capacity building, other kinds of sharing of knowledge, good practices, etc., sharing open technologies with you. And there could also be certain other joint projects around research into the area of digital libraries. The objective here, of course, the larger objective is to strengthen collaborations through education and cultural exchange. I will just come back to the point about user engagement. We made several references to the NDLI clubs, and Professor Das also expanded on that a little. Besides simply registering your universities and conducting seminars for your students to learn how to use our platform better, the NDLI Clubs is a massive countrywide youth engagement program that we have started. And as was mentioned, This focuses on schools, colleges, universities, and groups of students and youth from these institutes who organize, a wide variety of activities centered around books and reading, right? And the broader objective here is to build this culture of open sharing, activation, peer-to-peer sharing of knowledge, etc. Now, this chimes in very well with what our colleagues at the British Council told us a while ago about organizing reading challenges from ebooks for children and other similar activities. Those are things we can quite readily merge with some of our existing NDLI club activities and work on you with going forward. Now, you also need to keep in mind that perhaps not every level of activity may be appropriate for every kind of institute we deal with, right? So universities we find typically are interested in either all three, or at the very least with both 1 and 2. There are certain other kinds of organizations, research organizations, which may be less interested in user engagement, but are certainly interested in sharing their content with us or with deep collaboration. So this is a very customizable model, and we can work on those specific areas that are of interest to you and build our collaborations accordingly. So based on this, if you have any further comments and queries, we'd be happy to take them now.
May I ask a question?
Yes, certainly.
I'm Tariq from Bangladesh. Shams.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Professor Partho Das mentioned, I think, or was it you, some national licenses that you there is some content that is restricted, probably provide through national licenses. Could you elaborate on this a little bit? Because I mean the open content you have is actually already available. It's a matter of just making users aware that this, but a more collaborative approach could, could we look at some of your restricted content?
Let me answer that, two parts of it. One is, yes, open contents are otherwise available, but it's knowing what is available is a big challenge.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Yes. And in the correct context, in the correct collections and so on. For example, several of these open contents actually come from institutions who don't, publicize what they have. So that's one reason. So far as the national licensing is concerned, the model is like this, that this is a publisher content where the government of India, the Ministry of Education, pays the subscription to them. So with that, there is certain specific, magic keys which are provided with us, so that if someone, I said that you can use the library with login or without login. If you use it without login, you will not be able to use the national license. If you do a login, then as you try to access those contents, then we provide that magic key to the publisher through the transaction, so that they know that it is coming from NDLI and the people would be allowed. That is the basic model. So,
okay. So this is a national license for India, not for users outside India. I mean, don't you IP authenticate, or
how do you IP authenticate for a country? It's very difficult.
No, because like most of the resources we access, we subscribe, these are provided through IP authentication. So
that's because you have a very small set of IPs to deal with. We are talking about national case. Right, so IP fencing is not that easy. There are other issues of what is India. Is India about the political boundary, or is India about Indians? If we talk about Indians, then they are not in political boundary. Several people of India use NDLI from US. Right. So let's not get into that debate. So the publisher does have these issues. We say, well, I mean, it's true, but there's a big section of India who stays outside and need to use this. So hopefully it will work from Bangladesh and Sri Lanka as well. I don't think, I don't know if some people have tried. You can try it out. South Asia Archive is currently active. So you can try it out. It should work. Right. Without getting into the exact technical definition of, but we don't particularly geofence anything. We
So
just work on the magic.
It's not like you are licensing your content out to any other national.
No.
That's what I had in mind. I thought
We do not believe in licensing.
Yes.
We do not believe in licensing. We believe knowledge has to be free. There's no question of licensing. So we just respect the copyrights and rights of different people from whom we are borrowing. So we just have to pass it on. As I was explaining to British Council as well, that the moment you have found the content and you click to access that content, actually NDLI just becomes a pipe. It is not doing anything. It just routes your request to the source provider, and then the negotiation is between you and the source provider. In case of national licensing, when we create that pipe, we tell the source that this request is coming from NDLI. This user is from NDLI. And based on that, the source will allow you access. For others, they will have their own protocol. They may keep it open, they may keep it through a login, they may ask for a payment, whatever they want to do. That's between the user and the source provider. We have no licensing concept. We just kind of bringing forward whatever the source wants to do.
But by the way, may I add a supplementary question?
Yes, of course.
Is that do you have any plans of using, incorporating like, academic journal content into your, so you have these consortia which subscribe to journals, academic journals in India. So if you had their metadata on your platform, then NDLI could work as a federated search engine for like all subscribed content.
Yes, but after that, people will not be able to access them.
Yes. Okay. So
you're
more interested more in open content, not.
I'm more interested in open content, but that discovery part is also important. For example, I would specifically tell you, for example, Springer, they share all metadata. So even their subscribable contents, journals would be discoverable through NDLI. IEEE shares everything. Hey, but Elsevier does not agree to share. Even though they know that it will only be in their interest because more people will get to know about their contents. But so far they have not agreed to share. So not everything is in the control of ours or of the ministry. But in principle, we have two things. One is we would prefer open contents always, right? Because that is our whole motto. The second is, of course, we are an information service. So it is very important that people get to know, even if people cannot access the details. Because if you get to know, then you can do something else. For example, we are developing a surrogate service. In a surrogate service, if you find a journal paper which you cannot access, you can request for surrogate alternates, which are near identical copies of those papers which do not have a copyright. For example, pre-publication, pre-printed forms of the paper in author archive. So we are still researching on that. We have made the basic research infrastructure for it. It's still to be put in production, but those are the kind of things we want to put on. Like it is not that researchers will necessarily have to die because these publishers are playing a dirty game with all of us. So you take to the open contents, you take to the author archives, you take to the conference equivalent of the paper to find and keep going.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think we have a question from Pravina. You seem to have your hand raised.
Yes.
Right.
Anirban, actually, my question is for you. And
Okay.
this is with regard to the clubs that you have in the schools, particularly across the
Yeah.
country. Since you had mentioned the reading challenge, so the reading challenge that we do in schools across the country is a paid reading challenge. Now, if we were to collaborate with you and do this through the clubs of NDLI, would that still apply? Would we still be able to charge for this? Would the same model work?
You know, for this particular question, may I refer this question to my colleague, Mr. Nandagopal Chattopadhyay?
Yes.
Nand, sir, if you're there, he has been very instrumental in developing the NDLI Clubs platform. So he may have a more well-informed answer for you about this.
I heard the question, but will you please repeat the question, madam, once more?
Yes. So my question is with regards to the club that you have with the schools and collaborating our programs with NDLI.
Yes.
So normally these programs that we run mainly for children, which is the reading challenge through our digital portal, is a paid program. It runs for 3 weeks and it's a very minimal cost and it has workshops and everything included in that, but it's a paid program. So if we were to collaborate with NDLI and run this program through your clubs or to your clubs, would the same model of payment apply or would you expect that to be a free program?
No, I mean, unfortunately, NDL by basic its charter, it is free.
Okay.
Because NDL is basically sponsored by Ministry of Education, Government of India. Right. And that's why all services of NDL are free. That means we cannot conduct any event which is chargeable.
Which is charged. Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. All right.
I think, madam,
yes,
I think we can discuss.
Okay.
What Nand is saying is very, very true. But there could be, you know, as the questions come up, there could be mixed models that come up as well. For example, it could be that, well, if NDLI is organizing an event, it cannot be paid. That is for sure. But it could be different modes like, well, NDLI is just facilitating to get you connected to the different clubs, and then the individual members of the club decide if they want to pay and do it.
All right.
Could be one model, facilitator model. Another could be that you could also think that suppose say it may not be free, but can you think about a freemium model?
Okay.
For example, you have a 3 weeks challenge. Is it possible to split it, say, in 1.5, 1.5, say? I'm just saying for the sake of it.
I get it.
So 1.5 weeks is free.
Right.
So more people get to do it, get to know it, and get to grow interest in that. But there is a substantial part in the remaining 1.5 week for which you'll have to pay. So
that makes sense.
So we can say that this is for everybody. NDL is promoting that this is for everybody. And then there is a later part which you can continue with the British Council by paying for the remaining part. So you could make it half, 1/3, 2/3. In some way you could work it out. The freemium model, I think, in such cases is going to be very useful, because I can understand that British Council finally is a self-sustaining organization. Okay? So if we say that everything has to be free, it may not be sustainable from your end either. Which means both NDLI as well as the users lose out in a big way. You know, I think we can discuss all this, and I would really like to bring in our head, the principal investigator, Professor Partha Chakraborty, who has tremendous idea about all these things. But I think I mean, instead of doing black and white, we can do different shades of gray in these cases.
Thank you. That's helpful as well.
So let us discuss more.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions and comments from colleagues? No? All right, in that case, well, we can bring this meeting to a close. So once again, Professor Das, any final closing comments from you?
Actually, we did not have any. I think with the next three, we had some discussions of how to go forward.
Yeah.
I don't think we have had very concrete discussions about the future roadmap with Rajshahi University.
Okay.
So
right.
if Rajshahi University would like to let us know as to how they would like to move forward on this, it will be, because for us,
Right.
Rajshahi University is a very, very important university to be,
yes,
stay connected and grow with.
Certainly.
Thank you very much.
And
Professor Das, thank you very much for your nice comments. We are just in the initial stage of digitalizing the library. So we have huge content which has not yet been digitized, and we are working on that. Recently, very recently, we have got permission from the University Authority for making all our research thesis and dissertations as open access. So we have that. We have already 2,700 thesis and field PhD. We are also got permission to make open all our master theses. So from now on, we'll also
the screen seems to have frozen, right?
oh, I was thinking that I got lost.
No, I think
No.
his
It's
connection
a
might have
problem at his end.
Yeah.
But, let me
Professor
keep-
Rahman, if you can hear us, your screen is currently frozen. We're not being able to hear you.
No, this happens when he loses connection. But
I see.
Yeah, that happens with all
come
of us.
back. But I think what we had discussed while what he turns, what we had discussed in our internal meeting was that whatever digital content we have, which is as you perhaps have guessed that it's not mature yet, but we are getting there. We are Mr. Rafiqur Rahman would be able to tell better what is ready exactly right now. But as soon as these are ready, we are happy to share these with the NDLI. So
Right.
that so that's the yes, sir is back. Professor Habibur Rahman. Yes, you may continue. Perhaps I was just filling in.
Okay, thank you very much. So we are actively considering to go for a collaboration. Right away, we can go for stage level 1 collaboration, and there are few permissions and to be obtained from authorities for the second level of.
Sure.
Okay,
Just do the first stage first, that so that the students and faculty of Rajshahi University and its associated affiliated colleges can start using NDLI.
Exactly.
Let
Let
that happen. There is no constraint on that. There's no financial implication of that. No, nothing. No obligations. Nothing. So let that happen. And then even if you have 2,000 ETDs, with that, once you get the permission, we can get started, because with that at least the name of Rajshahi University will come on NDLI portal. That is what is our first intention, that we want our neighboring rich university partners to be with us, so that others can also get to know. And in the process, in terms of developing your own digital infrastructure, if you need any knowledge help, as I was telling Sri Lankan Open University also, we would be more than happy to provide that.
Thank you very much. We will go for that, definitely.
Sure, sure.
I would like to mention you that we are digitizing, as you may know, that during the War of Liberation in 1971.
I know.
Yes.
You have the Mujib this.
Yes.
Mujib Borsha is going on.
Mujib Borsha.
We have a very good collection of newspapers since 1949, and we know that most of the collections of these newspapers from other sources was destroyed. Luckily, ours were preserved. So we have a very good collection of newspapers, and we are digitizing them. The work is in progress, and we will put them in the
world would love to know.
Absolutely.
The world would love to know.
Yes. So we have that very good resource, I think, and we'll definitely put it into our
Professor Rahman, you've seen that in the featured collection, we did a feature on Satyajit Ray.
Exactly.
It's currently there. So if we have enough collection, certainly we can do a feature on Mujibur Rahman.
Exactly.
He's been a great friend of India all through. And,
exactly.
And certainly, Bengali. I mean, I should not be talking in Bengali here, but Bengali kache Mujibur has a special.
Exactly, we know.
To a Bengali, Mujibur Rahman, the freedom leader of Bangladesh, is a special spot. So, if you could take that up, collaborating with other universities also, and get us that collection, we would like to have a featured collection on Mujibur Rahman in NDLI.
We have started working in our library on that. We are collecting contents on our great leader.
Right.
We are doing that. So thank you very much. So right away we can go for level 1 collaboration with NDLI, and then we will consider. We'll go step by step to other stages, I think.
Sure. Thank you very much, Professor Rahman.
You are welcome.
And with that, I think we can now bring our meeting to a close. We've actually spilled beyond the allotted time a little. So we now actually have a fairly clear roadmap with all the institutions that we have spoken to today. So going forward, of course, we will share today's presentations with you and a recording of this meeting. And then we can start interacting with you one-on-one about the specific activities that we would like to begin undertaking with you in partnership with you, right? So we will be in touch with all of you separately about the specific areas we are collaborating in. And once again, thank you very much for your interest in NDLI and for partnering with us. It's always very gratifying to see other institutions and other countries taking an interest in this national initiative. So we're very grateful for that. Thank you very much once again. And we will continue to interact and work with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this interaction.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks for sparing your time and agreeing to collaborate with NDLI. We look forward to having you on board as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
All
much.
right. Thank you and have a great
Thank
day.
you.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
Stay safe in this time. Stay safe. Take care.
And also congratulations on building this NDLI. I know I have some idea of what goes behind this. So congratulations for that.
Thank you for your compliment. It's for the entire team.
Yes, for the entire team.